Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Welcome to our session, which is about igniting creativity and innovation within the realm of academia, which is, of course, as you all know, whether you are a student or a faculty member, it's full of textbooks, it's full of lectures, and some of them haven't changed actually since the invention of the printing press, maybe. So today we are here to talk about trying to shake up things and try to change a little bit the way we teach and the way we learn to try and inject a healthy dose of Eureka into the academic mix. And because actually we have to be honest here and we have to assess that the world currently is moving very fast and that we need more academics and more students who think outside of the box, who are creative, who aren't afraid to get a little messy in the pursuit of better knowledge. So if we think about it, some of the greatest innovations and breakthroughs in the history, they were not exactly planned. And the point is here to keep in mind that creativity and innovation can actually strike anywhere, anytime. Guess what? In academia, it's the perfect space, it's the perfect setting, it's the perfect, let's say, environment where we can have that Eureka moment, that aha moment. I found something new, I found something different. We have lots of knowledge, so a wealth of knowledge at our fingers, lots of information, lots of data, lots of tools to analyze and interpret that data, and we have the freedom to explore. So we need to have that creative spark, and this is going to be, of course, helping us move forward with innovation and creativity within higher education, within academia, and within education in general. All right, enough chit chat. I talk a lot. Let's get actually started. So I am going to be presenting this lecture today to you. I am Dr. Khaled. This is the right spelling, and like the spelling that was actually implemented in this Blackboard session. I am an assistant professor at the Health Sciences College in the Saudi Electronic University, and these are my contacts if you need to contact me for anything. So, of course, it's very important to understand that we are today celebrating the World Creativity and Innovation Day, the 21st of April. And from there, it actually developed into a whole week of celebration activities, lectures, etc. worldwide. Why they chose this date, and now we are starting actually from the 15th of April, starting from 2006, because this is the birth date of the great inventor and artist Leonardo da Vinci, who is from Italy. Of course, you know who is Leonardo da Vinci. So, as I told you, we are living in a world that is facing constant change, and change, as you understand it, is something that will always exist. Change is the only constant. And the problem with change is sometimes you will find people who are actually resisting the change. People generally do not like change. In this context, we can say that creativity and innovations are no longer something that is optional. They are vital, they are essential. So we will try to actually explore the importance of harnessing and fostering these skills within higher education, within academia, because we have to understand that creativity and even innovation, they are actually skills that we can develop and improve. So we'll try to delve into the nature of creativity and innovation. We will try to discuss some existing problems, issues, or barriers that we can refer to as challenges. And you know, whenever we overcome a challenge, there are lots of opportunities behind the overcoming of the challenge. So we will try also to explore some practical strategies. I will try to give some examples, and these strategies and examples and methods are going to be hopefully useful for you as faculty and students to leverage, and of course, and then by leveraging these methodologies and strategies, you can ignite their creative spark. So creativity, what is it? Creativity can be expressed, of course, in different ways, in different settings, through different means and through different channels. The creativity of a biologist is very different from the creativity of an artist. It's very different from the creativity of a writer or an author. So we have different types of expressions of creativity. And creativity, as we said, it's not just limited to art. It's not just limited and constrained within the walls of artistic pursuits. It's also about finding innovative solutions. It's about coming up with better guidelines for actually carrying out your experimentation, etc. So we will try to actually see that these innovative solutions are going to be helping us approach and solve problems from different perspectives, from new angles, and this is going to be sparking a positive change, because sometimes change is not, of course, change is not the, let's say, the end. Change sometimes is going to be pushing us to create a new innovation, a new different way of doing things. And change can be positive, and also change sometimes can be negative. We need to keep that in mind. So this is why creativity actually is going to be manifesting itself in different and various forms, as I told you, scientific, artistic, technological, etc. So creativity is actually simply defined as the execution of an idea which has both originality and value. If it's an original, novel idea, but it does not have value, it's not really creativity. Okay. On the other hand, if it has value, but it's something that we have always done, again, this is not creativity. So these are two actually things that we need to fulfill in order to say that we are really achieving creativity. So creativity is going to involve divergent thinking. It's not conventional, traditional thinking. And then we are going to be trying to explore a multitude of possibilities. There are several possibilities out there that we can actually explore, that we can actually compare, we can assess, we can evaluate, we can compare these different alternatives, these different possibilities, and then choose the better alternative that is going to be serving us in our context, for our endeavors, for our own goals. Some very famous person that you probably know, which is Albert Einstein, the famous physicist. Actually, he said you can never solve a problem on the level on which it was created. So if you have a problem that you are facing, any kind of problem, the situation and the level of thinking that was actually involved into the creation of that problem, into the establishment of that problem, is not going to be sufficient to find a solution. So you need higher levels of thinking. You need better thinking. You need to have divergent thinking, different thinking, and you are probably familiar with the word of critical thinking. And generally, critical thinking will actually make us think from a higher level, and this is going to be helping us actually solve the issue at hand. There are lots of research, of course, out of the box thinking, like Abdullah said, and of course, we have lots of research, lots of body of research that is actually suggesting that creativity is a combination of knowledge or expertise and imagination. So actually, we have to keep in mind, so we need to understand that it's a combination of knowledge and imagination. So we will try to draw on existing knowledge in order to form new connections and possibilities. And this is going to be helping us see things in a different way. If you connect the dots that are in front of you in a different manner, you are going to be having a different overview of the situation. You are going to be seeing things from a different angle, from a different standpoint or perspective. And this is very important to actually move beyond the current situation and to be creative. So imagination is going to be, of course, allowing us to explore these connections and to envision novel, sometimes groundbreaking solutions that are going to be very important. Sometimes it's going to be about trying to imagine a solution that we are borrowing from another field. So if I am doing experiments in the biological sciences field, for example, I can borrow solutions from chemistry. I can borrow solutions from physics. Physics can borrow solutions from maths, etc. And we will talk about actually trying to make some sort of mingling and interconnection between different fields in order to enhance creativity. So Another very important artist of the 20th century, George Lewis, said that creativity can solve almost any problem. So this is in response to the quote that we have seen by Albert Einstein: creativity will help us get above that initial level of thinking that got us into a problem. Creativity is going to be helping us move forward, get in a higher level of thinking, and hence solve any problem. So the creative act itself is going to be about defeating our habits, our ordinary behaviors. It's going to be about changing how we behave by involving originality and by trying to overcome the current situation. So creativity can help us overcome everything that we are facing if we are implementing the right mechanics of creativity. So creativity isn't magic. Of course, it's a process and it's a skill that we can nurture, that we can improve. And generally, the more we learn, the greater the building blocks for creative exploration. So if you have lots of knowledge, you have lots of tools, you have lots of information, lots of data that you can employ in your creative exploration. So this is very important to understand, that it's not about letting all of the knowledge that we have in the drawer. We are going to be actually using that knowledge and employing and implementing that knowledge to move forward with the creative pursuit, with the creative exploration. So it's very important to understand that we are not letting go of what we have. We are not letting go of what we understand. We are not letting go of all of the insights that we have collected over the years and the decades. No, we are building upon that. Okay, so here the good news is that creativity is not a fixed trait. It's not a personality characteristic that cannot be changed at all. So we can all improve our creative problem-solving skills, and this can be done through acquiring more knowledge. This is going to be also done through practice, through fostering a growth mindset. So it's very important to understand that creativity is a skill that we can improve again. So you cannot say, no, I am not creative. Everyone can be creative given the right situation, given the right tools. So creativity, like any other skill, can be improved, enhanced, nurtured, and of course, this is going to be generally done through practicing the acts and the processes of creativity. Again, creativity is a process. We can also embrace diverse perspectives, different standpoints, and collaborate with other people that will give us different insights, different understanding, not necessarily better understanding, but different understanding. And this is going to be helping us generate novel ideas, new ideas. This is very, very important to consider different perspectives to actually move forward with our current situation through creativity. Also, engaging in activities that constantly and continuously spark curiosity and challenge your own thinking is very important. You can be actually abiding to a school of thought in a given field, but you have been following that school of thought for a long period of time. Maybe it's time to look at what other schools of thought are saying. And maybe this is going to be meaning that you can adopt certain things from that school of thought and come up with new perspectives, better understanding. So here also it's very important to not be afraid to fail. Okay, failure is very, let's say, a very important part. We don't like it, but it's a very important part of the creative process. So we have to view failure as a learning opportunity. So if you fail and you learn something, it's not really failure. If you fail and you give up, that's when we can talk really about failure. So we should not be afraid of some level of failure. We have to view it as a learning experience, as a learning opportunity on the path to achieve higher levels of creativity. So higher education actually is going to be playing a very important, a crucial role in nurturing creative minds. And higher education is a little bit different because we have lots of freedom in the way we are teaching things. So by trying to incorporate creative activities and fostering a general culture of innovation, we can prepare the students for success in an ever-changing world. a world that is changing very fast, thanks to technology and to other things. And here we have to understand that students, they are not just subjects to that. They should be active participants. They should be enabled and empowered to participate really in their learning journey in academia. So creativity is vital for success in our dynamic world, in a world that keeps changing. And creativity is going to be very important because it will equip the students with critical thinking, with problem-solving skills, and it's going to be fostering cooperation and collaboration. It will improve the communication process, and communication is going to be actually the glue that will attach all of the elements and all of the members within any given organization. So communication is very important. And also we have to understand that the creativity is going to be improving adaptability and flexibility. And these are going to be always perceived as key qualities for the future. So as educators, we are going to be wanting to create a learning environment, a learning setting that is encouraging creative exploration in general. And this means that we as faculty members, as professors, we have to go through actually that creative exploration ourselves, but also we have to enable and empower the students to do the same. Because your journey as a faculty member in your creative exploration is very different from the creative exploration for a student. So what is the purpose of education? This is like a sort of step back to try and focus on the overall landscape and picture and try to understand what's going on here. So education, especially in the context of academia, of higher education, it's a complex and it's a multifaceted industry that is relying on different pillars. So of course, the first thing that comes to mind is actually teaching and learning. So teaching from the point of view of the educators, the instructors, the professors, and learning. This is going to be, of course, the focal point for the students. But we have also other things that are very important, especially scientific research that will help move science forward in every and each field. And also we have things like community services, etc. So all of these are very important pillars, and we can say actually that creativity should be involved in all of these pillars. It's very important. So education, of course, as you already know, has lots of aims and goals, but the main emphasis is going to be nurturing interests, nurturing skills and knowledge across several topics. So an array or a spectrum of topics that are personally meaningful for each student. We know that every student is choosing a field of study, and we need to be a little bit more flexible to offer meaningful teaching for the individual student. So it's going to be sort of personalized or individualized teaching for that student. So this is going to be catalyzing creativity accomplishments, because students are learning something that they like. They are learning something that they want to understand. They are going to be learning something that will be useful for them in their career, in their day-to-day life, etc. So regardless of the subjects, because some people will tell me, okay, some subjects are more prone to creativity than others, but regardless, generally speaking, regardless of the considered subject, regardless of the considered science or the field, and irrespective to the chosen strategies and philosophies of teaching, creativity and creativity fostering, they must play a pivotal, a crucial role in all the aforementioned areas and pillars. So teaching and learning, scientific research, and community service. So students, of course, they are the primary recipients of the educational services. They are the goal, or the we are trying to build educational systems that are student-centered. So students should be nurtured to be more creative. We should push them to be more creative. Sometimes you will find situations where we are going to be sanctioning the creativity of students, and this is not good. So we need to push and help and enable and equip the students to be more creative, to help them learn how to enhance their creativity, to help them be better students, between brackets, better learners, and this is going to be making them better people in the future, better professionals, better educators maybe, etc. So they should be involved, they should be empowered, and they should be actually participating very actively in promoting the culture of creativity within the academic organization. And if we want to have students who are involved, if we want to have alumni also who are still connected and linked to their alma mater, like we call it, to their organization of education, we need to involve them in all of these endeavors. So of course other stakeholders, like especially the educators and like the administrative staff, are also going to be playing a very paramount role in this context of promotion of creativity. So we need to understand that everyone within the academic setting is involved in this endeavor to achieve a culture and an environment of promotion for creativity. So brilliant, genius, talented, creative, innovative, gifted, ingenious, clever, inventive, imaginative, inspired. As you see, all of these are words that you hear a lot, and these are words to signify that we actually have a certain level of exceptional, very high mental performance. You are not going to be saying that about everyone. You are going to be saying that about very specific people. You are going to be selecting the words that you use to describe certain people. You are not going to be telling or calling anyone a genius, okay? Otherwise, the word itself will lose its meaning. So some believe that creativity is mainly the province of geniuses and artists. So I am not Albert Einstein. I cannot be creative. I am not Leonardo da Vinci, not DiCaprio, of course. Leonardo da Vinci, so I cannot be creative. So it's very important to understand that every one of us can be creative if given the right tools, if given the right setting, if given the right education and knowledge. So I would argue actually that creativity and creative learning are the essence of higher order thinking. You cannot achieve higher order thinking that is crucial, that is paramount for solving issues and problems without having at least some level of creativity. And I contend also that creativity is a practical life skill that is going to be nurtured, improved in everyone. And we can start from a very early age, of course, but also we can continue that through formal education and especially during higher education, where we have students who are already knowing lots of things, who understand how to learn, who understand what are the things that are important for their career, etc. So there we can focus a little bit more on the nurturing of creativity. And of course, as the student progresses during their journey in academia, in higher education, we can put an emphasis a little bit more on the creative pursuits and exploration. So if we are dealing with students who is just starting out their higher education studies versus someone who is in a master program, we have to make some sort of differentiation here in the level of emphasis that we put on the creative pursuits that we are offering to these different profiles of students. Both need to be exposed to creativity and to creative endeavors and procedures, but one is going to be exposed to higher levels, and we will require higher outputs from that student who is at the master level, for example. So creativity can be defined again as a new combination of mental activities that are expressed in the word. And this is actually a perspective that explains creativity from an individual level. So this is a bottom-up approach, from the bottom, where you have the most of the population, to the top, which are the people who are really high in creativity, like scientists, authors, artists, etc. So this is a sort of reductionist approach to explain creativity. But we have another approach, because as I told you in the beginning, we have to consider different points of view. We're going to be be doing this the same thing in trying to explain creativity. So creativity can also be perceived as the creation of a novel idea, a new idea, a groundbreaking idea even that is valuable for the overall community or society. So this is the social level in contrast with the individual level. So this is top-down approach. So you have someone who is very creative, they will create something or they will innovate something like coming up with a new technology, and that technology from the top, from that person who's very creative, is going to be helping everyone underneath. Okay, so this is more of holistic approach to creativity. So how do we foster creativity in an educational system? Because we know, I was talking a lot, creativity, but how can we do that? Especially that if we consider that in academia, in higher education, generally we want to have some level of conformity. We are going to be pushed by standardization. We are pushed by hyper-specialization. We are also pushed by traditionalist approaches and philosophies to teaching. We have to abide to certain rules. We have to abide to certain let's say guidelines, and this is important to have those standards and guidelines and rules, but we need to make them a little bit flexible in order to be capable of injecting that Eureka moment, as I told you, that innovative approach, that creative pursuit. So fostering creativity in a conventional educational system built on strict standardization can be challenging, but of course it's achievable, and we are seeing lots of examples worldwide of injecting some level of creative and innovative pursuits within academia, within higher education. So let's delve into some strategies to ignite the creativity spark within students and also, of course, faculty members. So first of all, we need to have a sort of paradigm shift, a mindset shift in general. We need to celebrate, between brackets, mistakes. We need to reframe failure as learning, as I told you, and this is a sort of step into the path of innovation. So instead of thinking of it as a barrier, we have to think of it as a stepping stone in our way to achieve better outcomes in general. We have to encourage and we have to encourage students to ask what if questions. We need to delve deeper into the topics. We need to ask them to consider different approaches. We need to ask them to come up with their own understanding, their own insights, and sometimes those insights coming from the student can be given you as a faculty member a different approach to teaching, a different approach to explaining things, to simplifying things sometimes, but also to push them to be more creative in your lectures, in your classes, etc. So we need to have a sort of nurturing for the love of learning. We need to be in love with learning, with acquiring knowledge, and this is going to be going beyond rote memorization. So trying to just memorize and remember the facts. The student will sit on their laptop or they will read a book, they will memorize facts and numbers and figures, and then comes the exam, they will just regurgitate, between brackets, that same information. They pass the subject. Next year, if you ask them anything about the previous year's subjects, they will not remember lots of things. So this is why sometimes we need actually to push the students to love the subject, love the matter that we are offering them. This is very important, and this means that they will remember what you are teaching them or what you are making them explore by themselves in upcoming years. We have also to encourage experimentation and a growth mindset that is going to be viewing the challenges as, again, opportunities to learn and to grow from the creative point of view. So this is very, very important to establish this paradigm shift, a shift in our approaches, a mindset shift in general, shift or change. We have also to vary our teaching methodologies, so we can implement things that are more related to project-based learning. So we have to move beyond static lectures. We have been, as professors for a very long time, like a sage, like we say, a sage on the stage, so someone who has lots of knowledge. They stand on stage, they lecture people, they speak like I'm doing now, actually. Now we have to move to a role of a guide by the side. So you are going to be guiding the learning journey of the students. You are guiding them, you are giving them insights, you are explaining things, but also you are trying to actually guide them to learn by themselves, also in addition to what you are giving them, what you are offering them. So in your lectures, maybe you are using one textbook, but there are other textbooks that are exploring the same topic. So if you push students to be curious, they will generally try and find more resources, more materials, even different textbooks. And this is going to be actually helping them better understand the subject beyond just thinking about passing the exams. And I have seen this, especially with master students who go beyond the requested level of knowledge, and they actually are involved in learning from different materials and sources. So we need to start certain levels of project-based learning, for example. So include projects that will require students to apply knowledge in a very creative way, to think critically, to collaborate with each other, to solve problems that we can face in real world by using case studies or other types of approaches also. Interdisciplinary learning, multifaceted learning is also very, very important. So we have to break down the subjects silos. We don't want to see subjects, every subject, especially if you have a specialized level students. We don't want them to see every subject as a silo, as a sequestrated field of knowledge. Okay, we need them to see the connections that exist between different subjects. So if we have information technology students, they need to understand the connections that can exist between learning a programming language and how to apply that in real world. Learning about machine learning and deep learning and artificial intelligence, and knowing how to apply that in real world, or knowing how to use programming languages to create algorithms that are actually going to be useful in developing certain solutions. So we need to make them see those connections between seemingly disparate fields of studies, and we need to foster a larger, broader, and more creative understanding of the world around them, because in the end of their journey in the university, in the college, they are leaving to face the world, or they are probably already facing the world, the professional world, and they need to be very well equipped to face that world. We have also to incorporate creative tools. We need to use technology. We need to leverage technology, things like design thinking software, mind mapping tools. Other sophisticated systems also can be very helpful, like systems that are capable of adaptive learning, relying on artificial intelligence and gamification platforms. All of these are very, very important, and all of these are going to be actually promoting the learning experience for every and each student a little bit differently. But in general, these tools are very important, especially technology. The use of technology can differ a little bit from one subject to another. It can differ from one situation to another. But in general, we are going to be wanting to use all of these technological advancements and tools that we have at our disposal. Another important thing here is to create a different learning environment. So we need to create a learning environment that is collaborative. So we need to encourage teamwork. We need to encourage peer-to-peer learning. And in this context, we will have students that can bounce ideas off each other, and they can, of course, help each other understand certain things, help each other have different perspectives, different insights. And of course, this is going to be fostering a more creative and dynamic classroom. And this will facilitate the task of the professors and the instructors to explain things and to actually take advantage of all of this interactivity that happens inside of the class. We need also to create flexible learning spaces, and this means that we need to move beyond the traditional classroom. We need to design spaces that are going to be actually very helpful and very conducive for creativity and for creativity exploration. And this is going to be opening areas for group work. You can actually split the class physically differently. You can give different tasks to different students. You can actually have things like quiet corners for independent thought, and then you can have an actual session of brainstorming where the students are going to be returning to a collaborative setting, etc. We need also to push the students to actually be giving us initiatives and give us suggestions. So student-led or student-centered initiatives are going to be generally empowering students to take ownership of their learning, and this is going to be giving them opportunities to design projects, to start and lead discussions, to brainstorm, to explore different topics that will pique their curiosity. And again, curiosity, as we said, is a very important block in the construction of creativity. Faculty development is also very important here. So things like workshops and training on creative pedagogy and educational technology are very important. So we need to have some sort of opportunities for professional development for the faculty members in order to learn and implement creative teaching methods, in order to implement educational technology, in order to take advantage of the available tools and software that you can have actually within the college or within the university. Also, we can implement incentive and recognition endeavors, so reward and celebrate faculty members who are actually successfully integrating creativity and technology into their classroom. Of course, you can recognize other efforts for the faculty members, but here we are focusing again on creativity and innovation. These are very important pillars that will help us implement, like we said, creativity and creative exploration within our academia activities. And of course, this is very important. And as we have seen, by promoting this growth mindset, which is a change in the mindset, a mindset shift, by using creative teaching methods, by fostering a dynamic learning environment, by actually harnessing the power of modern technology and supporting faculty, we can actually begin to chip away at conformity. We can actually move away a little bit from very strict, rigid rules, and we can create a space where creativity and innovation can flourish within the academic setting, within the educational system in general. So these are very important points, of course, like we said. And from a bigger holistic view, we can say that creativity in general is important to humanity. Okay, so this is the highest level of perceiving what creativity can do. So creativity will grow in importance in the future due to many reasons and many factors that are influencing this creativity demand. So we have an increasingly globalized world. So now we are not just competing with people in the same town or in the same city or in the same region or in the same country or even in the same continent. We are actually having to compete with everyone worldwide. So everyone is involved in this globalized world, a fast-moving globalized world, and we need to be ready to actually face this fast-moving world. We are not just competing people in the same country, we are competing everyone. Also, there is an increase in sophisticated information and communication technology, an improvement, and it's moving very fast. I'm sure that you have witnessed the boom of artificial intelligence in the last few years, and that's actually involved in every and each sector, in every and each field, in every and each industry. So we need to understand how to leverage information and communication technology, especially artificial intelligence and the subfields of artificial intelligence like machine learning, deep learning, and this is very important. So jobs that do not require creativity are going to be generally automated. So if you want to have a future career, your job should not be something, a task that is very easy to automate. If it's automatable, you are replaceable. Okay, so you have to actually acquire a higher level of thinking, a higher level of creativity, so that a simple machine cannot replace you. Also, increasing demand for creative services. This is something on the rise again worldwide, and we need to be prepared as faculty members, as students, to face this higher levels of demand. So the most perplexing and complex problems confronting the humans currently will generally require much higher levels of creative thinking, of critical thinking, and this is why we need to be prepared for that. So creativity at its core, it's going to be actually formed by three main components. We have expertise, we have motivation, and we have creative thinking skills. So creativity, it's not just that single spark, that Eureka moment. It's a confluence, it's a congregation of different factors, and by actually nurturing these components, we can enhance our own creative potential. We can foster a more innovative environment, and this is again something that is very important. So in order to achieve creativity, which is at the center, we need to understand those different components. So it's like if you have a recipe to cook, and this is going to be better understood by people who cook. If you are cooking a cake, you need to focus on every component. If you are putting the right components, the right ingredients for your cake, then you are going to be having a good cake. If you are putting bad ingredients or wrong ingredients in your cake, this is going to be probably an uneatable cake that you cannot actually eat. So same thing for creativity. You have to focus on these main components to have a good outcome of creativity. The first one is expertise. It's the knowledge base and the knowledge and the skills that are relevant to the domain in which you are exercising, in which you are teaching, in which you are studying. So you are going to be actually exercising your creativity in a certain field. So if you are an IT student or an IT faculty member, your creativity in the IT field, and of course IT field is very general, I know, I understand, but this is just for the sake of simplification. If you are in the law field, you are going to be exerting your creativity in law field. So you need to have knowledge that are relevant to that topic, to that subject. So the more we know about the subject, the greater the potential for making new connection and generating new novel ideas. We have imagination, like we said in the beginning, or imaginative ability or thinking skills. These are going to be encompassing and involving divergent thinking, the ability to generate a wide range, a wide spectrum of ideas, and convergent thinking, which is the ability to evaluate and refine those ideas into workable solutions. So we start from a very big amount of ideas, and then we try to apply them, and by trying to apply them to our very specific setting, to our very specific situation, we are going to reduce those ideas until we are actually having only the ideas that are useful for us, that are constituting a sort of workable, applicable solution. So we start very wide, and then through convergent thinking, we are going to be reducing and refining to actually end up with a handful of workable, applicable solutions and ideas. The third component is motivation, and this is the intrinsic drive. This is very important to have your own internal drive. You are motivated by yourself. You are not motivated by extrinsic motivation. So the internal drive to be creative is actually fueled by curiosity. You want to learn, you want to explore new possibilities, you want to have better knowledge, you want to explain things, etc. And this is going to be, of course, meaning that you will have a sort of sense of accomplishment once you understand things, and once you are capable of generating novel solutions. Very actually different approaches are going to be employed in this, but motivation is a little bit personal for everyone. Motivation is actually something that is going to be focusing on your locus of control, and your locus of control is going to be coming from your own preferences and from your own traits and characteristics. The other good news is that you cannot use up creativity. Don't say, okay, I have been thinking for a long period of time. I came up with some creative solutions, with some innovative ideas. I think that I cannot do better. No, as we said, it's a skill, and you can keep improving it. And the more you use your creativity, the more you have it. This is actually a quote from Maya Angelou, which is an African-American writer, and she's very famous. And of course, this is something that we need to actually keep in mind, that it's not something, it's not a finite amount of creativity, it's infinite, and it keeps expanding relative to your efforts to actually achieve that. So despite the paramount role creativity actually plays in our lives, it is often undervalued, and sometimes it's often neglected in conventional educational systems. And this is something that we need to focus on and that we need to change. We are actually, as we said, taught to memorize facts, figures, numbers, and to follow very strict rules, to follow guidelines, to follow procedures, and to conform to the expectations of the system. This approach might actually produce technically proficient students, so students who are capable of applying certain techniques, students who understand how things work, but they are not actually going to be capable of coming up with creative solutions. So this type of approach will not cultivate the spirit of creativity, and of course this is something that we need for true modern innovation. So from creativity to innovation, this is the gap that we need to bridge. So innovation is actually the application of the ideas that we have generated from our creative endeavors. So creativity is actually the fuel that is going to be igniting innovation, and it's the engine that turns ideas into reality. So we are going to be transforming novel ideas into impactful real-world solutions that will drive progress. If you come up with good ideas, but then these are not applicable, it's not going to be giving us any advantage, and this is not going to be helping our innovative endeavor. So what is innovation? Now you are starting to see what is innovation. Of course, it's the successful implementation of a creative novel idea, an idea that is original, like we said, and an idea that has value. It needs to have both. So innovation is vital, and it's going to be solving problems, and it's going to be helping us meet the ever-changing needs that we have. It's going to be allowing us to find better solutions to existing problems and to create better products, better services that are going to be addressing unmet needs, and that are going to be actually helping us move forward in all of our production and services levels. So by constantly innovating, we can improve efficiency, we can improve effectiveness, we can improve productivity, we can discover new opportunities, and we can propel and push forward both individual growth and also societal growth and progress. And as we said, also we can have an impact on the overall humanity, because we are living in this globalized world. So change is the only constant, okay? Change is something that will always happen. There are no constants in this world except for change, which is a little bit of a contradiction, of course. So the world is constantly, rapidly, and ceaselessly evolving, and innovation is going to be very helpful to make us be flexible and to help us adapt to these changes, respond to these changes, and ensure that we are going to be relevant, we are going to be competitive. And again, this is very important currently, because we are competing with the whole world. We are not competing just with local organizations or local entities or local people and professionals. We are competing with a competition that is coming from the world. Of course, we will see always some resistance for new things. Okay, so we will see that, okay, this is a good idea, but it has never been done before, or this is a good idea, but this is not the way that we have been doing things for the last 10 or 20 years. And of course, this is a very clear obstacle, because people will always resist change, either because they don't understand it, or because they are afraid of taking risk and taking some level of risk. And of course, here we are talking about calculated risks. We are not talking about non-measured risk, we are talking about calculated risk, is very important to achieve innovation. Sometimes you are actually going to be needing to take risks in order to have a chance at improving things. So it's very important to keep in mind that we will always have some sort of resistance, and that resistance should not stop us, and we should try to educate people, to raise awareness, and to make people more prone to actually accept change and accept innovation and accept creativity. Maybe this is a little bit more difficult in the context of higher education, but this is something that needs to be done. So we are going to be also understanding that there are different cultures in different organizations, in different places and workplaces and academic institutions. So we are going to be generally seeing that we have four main cultures that were actually studied by Jeff Dyer and his team of co-authors. So we have the anxious culture, we have the distressed culture, we have the comfortable culture, and we have the innovative culture. And of course, as you see, these are going to be a sort of aggregation of psychological safety and intellectual honesty. So the higher level of intellectual honesty with higher levels of psychological safety will give us an innovative culture, and this type of culture is of course the best for both incremental, so slow innovation. Incremental innovation means that we have innovation that is happening over steps, so it's a phased innovation, or for even let's say frame breaking or ground breaking or breakthrough innovations, which is a drastic, disruptive innovation that change everything completely with one step. Okay, so for both of these, you are going to be actually understanding that an innovative culture is the best environment where you will see innovative endeavors flourish. So innovation is no longer a luxury. Maybe people think that, okay, we don't need to innovate because we are doing things correctly and we are fine and we are having good outcomes, we are having good results. This is not the case. We need to understand that, especially in higher education, because higher education is actually preparing all of the future workers, all of the future experts, all of the future educators, all of the future professors and doctors and engineers. All of these are going to be going through the journey within higher education. So we need to understand that innovation is currently a necessity, and of course, now it's the time to incorporate innovative practices which are going to be benefiting everyone who is involved. And of course, especially the focus here is always on students. We want student-centered educational systems, and also faculty members are taking advantage of the incorporation of innovative methodologies and practices. So innovation is going to be helping higher education organizations stay relevant in a very rapidly changing world. And by embracing new teaching methods and new research approaches, universities are going to be capable of attracting the best students because they are going to be offering the best programs. They are going to be capable of attracting the best faculty members and maintain a very competitive edge, which is very important again for the survival of the organization on the long run. So universities can actually leverage also innovation to tackle complex global issues, to try and solve problems for certain industries depending on the field of the study, etc. And again, we are going to be seeing more and more innovative programs and research that are capable of attracting grants and funding because they are innovative, because they are tackling things from different perspectives, from different point of views. And this is very important. You can say, okay, why we are not actually capable of attracting certain profiles of students? Maybe because the program was not that you are proposing to them was not as innovative and as holistic as it should be. So we need to focus on things, of course, related to teaching and learning. So we need to actually create a culture where we have learners and students that are engaged and that are active. So innovative teaching methods things like flipped classrooms, which we try, for example, to implement here at the Saudi Electronic University, which means that we want the students to come to the class, to the lecture prepared by reading the requested materials, and then we have discussions and explanations in the class. This is better than the conventional way of teaching, where students come unprepared and you are just, again, the sage on the stage, giving them lectures and contents that they would understand or would not understand. It's better to implement things like flipped classrooms, to use technology again, to use simulations, to use project-based learning that we have already explained, to go beyond passive lectures, to involve students and try to make them as interactive as possible during the class, to keep the students engaged, involved, to try and foster deeper understanding from different materials, not just the materials that we are proposing to them through the official channels of Blackboard and other channels. And we have to leverage new technology, especially artificial intelligence. This is pivotal. If you are not using artificial intelligence, this is a big problem. We need also to develop skills that are useful for the 21st century. And innovation is very helpful in this context because it will equip students with critical thinking, with creative problem solving, with collaboration skills. And these are very important. These are vital even and paramount for success in today's job market, which is a very competitive market and where rudimentary and elementary skills can be automated and can be replaced by machines. We don't want to see that. So personalized and adaptive learning also is very important, and technology here can be used and implemented to personalize learning, to individualize learning experience, to cater to diverse student needs, to cater to diverse student traits. All of your students are the same. They are not at the same level. They don't have the same learning style. They don't have the same learning pace. Some students are visual, other students are more of readers, etc. So you need to take into account all of these different profiles of students, all of these learning styles of these students, and actually try to have a teaching approach that is flexible and that is adaptable and that can be customized actually to fit the needs of each student. Some students will learn very fast. They have very high pace of learning. You can propose to them higher levels of challenges, and some students are going to be needing a little bit more time or more resources or a different teaching approach. So you need to have the tools and the abilities to adapt to that. And this is again crucial for the success of the academic pursuit. Scientific research is also very important. As you understand, some students are not involved yet in scientific research. They are just consumers of scientific research, whether in their day-to-day life or in trying to understand certain concepts, or during their education they are required to read some papers and some publications. But scientific research is at a very important or is actually a very important component for academia, and of course it will help and catalyze accelerating discovery, which is meaning that innovation within the research field will help us develop better research tools, better research methodologies and approaches. It will help us create better collaborations and collaboration systems, platforms, and all of these can lead to faster, more imminent breakthroughs and scientific advancements. Also, we need to implement again the interdisciplinary collaboration, and this is going to be breaking the sequestration that already exists between different fields. We need to take advantage of the breakthroughs, of the results, the outcomes, the insights that we have from other fields, and try to see if we can implement them in our own field. Maybe we can use certain methodologies that are coming from artificial intelligence in a healthcare context, etc. So innovation can break down these silos, these barriers, these obstacles and hindrances that exist between disciplines, and this is going to be fostering collaboration, and this is going to be even leading to unexpected discoveries, which are the higher level of discovery in my opinion, because these unexpected discoveries can give us better understanding of the matter that we are trying to study and research. Also, scientific research is very instrumental in addressing real-world emerging problems, and if we establish a research culture that is fueled by innovation, this can actually translate into practical solutions for the pressing and the urgent global challenges, and for emerging new problems that we did not face previously and that we don't have any clue actually on how to solve them, things that can be solved only if we implement higher levels of innovation in our scientific research. So if you are not prepared to be wrong again, you will never come up with anything original. This is a quote from Sir Ken Robinson, who is a very famous late educator. And of course, again, in the context of innovation, we will make certain mistakes. And again, I repeat, if we are fixing those mistakes, or if we are learning from those mistakes, we can move forward, and we can use those errors, those mistakes, as stepping stones in our way to actually improve and innovate. So the role of technology, of course, technology is very important. It's involved in every sector. Now, can you think about any industry that is not relying on technology? Technology plays a very important role in communications, telecommunications, in healthcare, in finance, banking, travel. Everywhere we are using technology, and we need to use technology also in education and in higher education more specifically. And of course, artificial intelligence. So artificial intelligence is the catalyzer, and it's actually offering exciting possibilities to transform education. And I'm sure that you have heard the term digital transformation. This is actually something that we try to apply on very different levels for different industries. You have heard that through also the National Transformation Program, NTP, which is a sort of first phase for the Vision 2030. So we talked a lot about digital transformation, and in education, transforming education will just be, let's say, not that impressive if we don't implement technology, if we don't use artificial intelligence. So there are lots of artificial intelligence tools that can be very helpful here, things related to deep learning, NLP, natural language programming, things that are more related to machine learning, to neural networks, etc. All of these can actually individualize and personalize learning. They can provide intelligent tutoring. They can actually also streamline certain tasks, certain administrative tasks and other tasks that can be automated and streamlined. This will actually allow educators to focus more on teaching and on helping students learn, rather than spending lots of time on activities that are routine activities or tasks that are repetitive and that can be actually automated. This is something that is coming in the future for sure. Many tasks can be actually streamlined, and this is going to be freeing up lots of time for the educators. So artificial intelligence can, as we said, individualize and personalize and customize and tweak learning experiences, and this is going to be done by trying to tailor the content and instruction to individual student needs, to their style of learning, to their speed or pace of learning, to their knowledge level, to their preferences, to their traits, etc. And there are lots of solutions already out there, like Area 9 Solutions, which is a very known software company that is actually focusing on adaptive learning solutions. These solutions are very important because you will help every and each student reach the level of understanding and knowledge that you want them to reach through different paths of learning, through different ways of learning. And this is very important. Adaptive learning is actually very instrumental in this context. It's also worth noting that artificial intelligence can actually provide students with an on-demand support and feedback, things like LLMs or language models like ChatGPT, etc. We can take advantage in a positive way, and this is going to be meaning that students can have, let's say, things that are more specific to their institution, not necessarily ChatGPT itself, but other LLMs or other GPT-based chatbots that the students can ask for assistance or support or feedback, and this will help them and guide them for their learning journey. Also, artificial intelligence can automate certain tasks, like we said, and artificial intelligence can facilitate collaboration and knowledge sharing within the institution, within the teams, but also globally and between different teams. Here I wanted to focus on an example of solutions that can actually promote teaching and learning, which is gamification and gamification services, which can be used in different types for healthcare. For example, these can be used for mental reasons or for psychological support. They can be used for things like pain management, etc. But they can be also used for other types of industries and education. They can be considered as innovative learning methods, and they can be actually very helpful. So gamification, what is actually gamification? If we want to have a very quick definition of gamification, we can say that gamification is actually going to be about the application of game design elements, game design theories and concepts in non-game settings. So it's like you are playing a game, but you are learning something new. And by incorporating elements like scores, like points, like badges, like leaderboards, like sort of narrations or narrative structures, gamification can actually transform the way of teaching that can be actually considered as dense, very dense, lots of materials. It can be dry, it can be boring, and of course this is going to be transforming the learning material into a more innovative, creative, engaging and motivating experience. And I'm sure that all of us prefer to play a game rather than to read a book. Maybe some of you prefer reading books, I don't know. So studies have actually established that gamification, which is actually mirroring the captivating nature of games, can actually push us to have improved knowledge retention, and this is going to be meaning that students are going to be understanding and retaining things in a better way, and this is going to be meaning that we will have increased participation, we are going to be having better student engagement, we are going to be having higher levels of creativity, and we will achieve enhanced problem solving skills for the students. So gamification in higher education can impact the overall effectiveness of the learning program, and this is done by actually trying to leverage and implement highly organized experience gamification platforms. These are going to be actually very positive experiences. This is motivating, and people want always to achieve better scores. If you have a leaderboard, people want to be on that leaderboard. Same thing for students, which are going to be wanting to achieve higher scores or sort of higher level of points. This can be implemented for example, portfolio activities or activities that are happening in class, or activities that are actually considered as interactive activities. They can be done weekly, etc. And we can establish a leaderboard where you see the names of the students who are achieving the higher scores, and this can create some level of competition. So some top methods that are actually implemented to use gamified learning solutions for higher education. We actually can encourage teamwork, and it's very easy to encourage students to participate in teams, to work together, to promote their team building skills, their cooperation skills, their collaboration skills, relying on gamification. Students are going to be motivated actually to work in groups to achieve an actual common learning goal, and these teamwork capabilities are highly useful when it is actually coming to make students ready for their careers, for their jobs, because very rarely we'll find a job where you don't need to have some sort of collaboration or communication with other individuals, other professionals, other team members. So generally you are going to be in a context where you need to have very good communication and collaboration skills. Also creating this environment of healthy competition. So gamification platforms can assist us alleviate any sort of unnecessary pressure while we are endorsing healthy competition. This is going to be reducing generally the amount of stress and the pressure of learning, and this is something that can be perceived as fun, and this can increase overall learning efficiency. And there are lots of studies, actually, a growing body of research, growing body of literature that shows all of these benefits when it comes to reducing the level of stress of students while they are learning. Trying to implement a sort of a gamified grading system is also very useful. So having a dedicated process to gamify the grading system, especially for, as we said, in-class activities, interactive activities, weekly activities, etc. This is going to be very important, and it can be very useful. And here the goal is to replace static and traditional and conventional grades with the experience points system, which are highly encouraging and motivating. And of course, in addition to that, you will keep some sort of conventional grading system that is going to be more relevant or more abiding by the academia rules. But this can be a way of adding some sort of dynamics, some sort of fun to your classroom and to your students. So Vision 2030 is, of course, focusing a lot on innovation, and you cannot achieve the vision without actually implementing innovation, and trying to move away from the conventional way of doing things is crucial here. It's paramount, actually, to have some level of creativity and to actually implement better solutions. So Vision 2030 actually prioritizes creativity and innovation, and it's considered as a key driver, or both creativity and innovation, they are considered as key drivers for a diversified Saudi economy in order to transform, in order to improve different fields, different industries. And it's necessary, of course, to move forward with the vision. So again, we have lots of support, we have lots of guidance that is available through the vision and through the other endeavors that are under the umbrella of Vision 2030 to help implement innovation, to help implement creativity. And there are lots of documents out there. So one of the things is the Research, Development and Innovation Authority, the RDIA, which has actually, for example, developed a very unique research grants and funding portfolio. And this actually has the benefit of ensuring a sustainable and world-class national ecosystem for research, for development, for innovation. So there are lots of grants and lots of funding that are available through the Research, Development and Innovation Authority. And then I invite you actually to go and check the website. And of course, this is going to be giving you lots of insights. So it's very important to understand that this is just a first stepping stone. We are trying to actually move forward with all of these things through implementing better approaches that will enable creativity, that will enable innovation. Okay, so this is actually my attempt at a very short and quick lecture about academic creativity, and hopefully without inducing too much existential dread or fear from the future. I hope that I did not actually bore you, and I hope that you find this quite informative and interesting. So please remember that the world needs our unique identity, our brand of uniqueness. So we should not be afraid to ask questions, to ask even the weird questions in the context of academia. And every one of you actually should ask the right question as a student and as educator. Do not be afraid of asking any sort of question that is actually helping us understand things. So this is very important. We need actually to try and explore the uncharted territories, things that we did not discuss before, tools that we did not use previously. We need to add some level of fun in our teachings and learning. All of the tools that I have discussed hopefully will be very helpful. So I want to thank you all for joining me. Hopefully this was a sort of springboard to cultivate a more creative approach. Thank you very much. I saw lots of comments. Some of them were short, some of them were quite long. Yes, hopefully this is a start. And feel free to contact me actually if you have any questions, any requests. You have my email here. Of course, creativity is not impossible. Creativity is very possible for everyone. This is what I wanted to explain, as one of the main goals of this lecture, is that all of us are capable of being creative. So you can contact me through my email or through X or Twitter. There are lots of data sets that are available through different governmental entities depending on your field of study. You can also contact the IRB committee to have actually the authorization to collect your own data through surveys, etc. There are lots of endeavors in this field actually, and this is going to be useful for you. So you can contact the deanship, and hopefully you will receive the guidance that you need. بتقول عادة the problems, they are clear. Depending on your field of study, there are lots of that will point you towards the problems, and also you are going to be, generally, if you are doing research, you are going to be in a team that is focusing on some issue or some topic, and this means that you will be asked certain questions that you will perceive as problems or questions with no real answer, and from there you can start making your own research. So thank you all for attending. Hopefully you learned something, or at least you remembered some things. Thank you all, and maybe we'll see each other in a future lecture. Thank you, Iman. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.